there, Chick Chat. We're back with Teen Mom episode 9.
Hey.
And it's a little bit more interesting than the last episode, but we're going to start with the least interesting, Leah.
The least interesting one to look at.
She's talking with her girls about this motivational speech she's going to do at a park. Allie and Allie and Addie. Oh my gosh, these names really do trip me up.
That's why the girls is so much easier.
She's got 2/3 of her girls is there, and they're going to go to this park with her. I don't know. It's such a produced scene.
It's a typical Leah scene. She's giving them the pre-PSA before she goes to the park PSA, so that they know which PSA that they're about to attend. And did you peep at the end that she asked her dad to come? And they only showed the girls' and then it was just a full voiceover of, but his cancer just came out and he's still recovering, so he's not coming. So you're right. It was really, I think, producer edited. And I don't know at this point if it's producer driven, these PSAs. I think this is Leah's thing because she doesn't want to show any other part of her life. A lot of the other cast members have talked about how closed off certain cast members are. And I think they're talking about Leah. So this is her thing. I think that this is Leah driven and then producer edited to make it sound halfway interesting.
Yeah, they filmed her for months and we only get this.
So. Mini PSAs all the way on the way to a public park PSA.
And Addie looked so uninterested until she got to the park. Then she looked a little interested when she got brought up. This whole season, we've been fighting about Allie's wheelchair just for her to forget it on the charger. And Allie was ready to use it. They even parked handicap and everything.
I know. I'm not going to give her too much shit for that because we all make mistakes. But yeah, it is totally ironic that she's been on this other PSA and crusade for her to be using this damn wheelchair.
And then she's
charging. It'll be fully charged when she's back.
She probably had to stay parked handicap because Allie can't walk that far. But just imagine just being a bystander, not knowing about Allie's condition or anything, and then just seeing 3 girls just walk out the car.
Right. One of them being the speaker too, thinking, "Wow, she must think she's really cool."
I know what Allie does walk a little differently, so maybe hopefully that's what catches other people's eyes. But yeah. I thought that was funny. I was like, oh, Leah, I forgot it on the charger. Hopefully you can walk this far.
So it's a beautiful sunny day. Where are we in?
We're in West Virginia with about 20 people. And we're here.
At least 20, maybe 30.
There's a few of them playing in the back and eating and enjoying themselves.
Yeah.
There's about 20, 25 people out there, arms crossed, ready to hear what she's got to say. Like that girl there with the purse in front of her garage.
Wait, what? This side?
No, other side. Other side.
Is that a man or a girl? I won't.
That's the face of West Virginia.
West Virginia.
That's the mascot right there. She wants to do this in order to bring awareness to prescription drug use, which is becoming more of a thing apparently in West Virginia. It's gone down in the world, apparently, according to Leah, but in West Virginia, it's rising. So she thinks that this will help. And I think getting her story out would help on a larger platform. I think when she did that whole podcast thing, remember her failed podcast? I feel like if she would have done one more about her struggles with that, that would be helpful. But I'm glad that she's getting herself out.
On that podcast?
She has several co-hosts in that.
Yeah, I think that was the problem.
It was when she was in that weird cult thing. I think it was those people.
Yes, I think that was the problem. She was sort of the pull, but they weren't talking really about her, if I remember. They were talking about some self-help culty things. Not all self-help is culty, but that self-help was culty.
Even Catelyn called it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm glad that she got out of that too, because those kinds of behaviors can be addictive in themselves to have all of that.
Is she out of it?
I think so. I don't think she made a big public statement about it, but I do think that she's not involved in it anymore. Yeah, look, because she was sort of the public face of it for at least while she was in it.
I'm about to Google if Leah Messer is still in a cult.
Yes.
There's no credible evidence to suggest she's currently in a cult. She has since distanced herself from the group.
Just like not affiliated anymore, but she hasn't come out and called it a cult or anything.
She continued to participate in and defend the organization until she left in April of 2020. They must have tried to get her out during the vid doing something.
Yeah, I mean,
how do you leave a cult during vid? There was nowhere to, no one was doing anything.
True. Maybe that was the problem. I know that she wanted to protect Allie, especially.
I don't know much about her cult. If y'all know anything about her cult, let us know.
Did you see on Google what it was called? I forgot what it was called.
It was called Mastery in Transformational Training.
Yes.
That's what it was called. Well, it sounds like a class at Hogwarts. Dean calls it Hogwarts. Anyway,
so we're happy to see her out of there. We're happy to see her moved beyond. It seems like a lot of addictions other than this addiction to PSAs, which that's healthy. So
yeah, it's nice to see her actually using her platform for this. I would like to see her do more activism. That's not just a big gathering of people to give a speech to her girlses, but to give a speech to other girlses, and everywhere. I think that she does have a good story. I mean, her book was pretty interesting from what I've heard and the chapters I have read. So I think that her story is touching. It's just this speech was a little stiff for me. Like, she does need some public speaking training. You know, it sounded like like
I think she's had some even, but she just I know she gets really anxious. I can relate. But yeah, I think you're right. If she has this desire to perform public service announcements, so she needs to up the charisma a little bit more.
Or make it seem more like a conversation than you're preaching at people. But she did share part of her story that she got into the pills while she was recovering from giving birth to Addie, and basically how it derailed her life. I mean, we're only seeing snippets of it. I'm sure it was much longer than what we saw.
4 pages in her hand.
Yeah, so I would be curious to see the whole damn thing. But she does bring up her dad, and she's like, I know you ain't here, but pry you. It was cute.
And she was getting kind of emotional, so that was precious.
She's banking on him to watch it on the show.
Shouts out to Leah's dad.
Shouts out to Mr. Mesa. I don't know his name.
I don't either.
I have no idea what his name is, so he's Mr. Mesa. Yeah.
I've never met that man.
I could just only imagine if he was there in the crowd and she's like, congrats to my dad. And he'd be like, yeah. Yeah.
Congrats to me.
So that's glad to hear that he's recovering, actually. So it's good to know that they got the cancer out and he is recovering. I was worried for him. He didn't look good that last episode he was in.
So moving on to Kail and Kail.
All of them.
I guess Kail. Yeah, Kail and Cate and Macy and all of the podcast crossovers that
podcasts from futures. Yeah. Podcasts from futures and past and presents. And it's like a Christmas Carol up in that bitch.
It is.
Kaylin lets us know that she signed to Kail's podcast company. Her and Tyler are going to launch Break It Down with Cate and Ty, which did see one comment that said that we should cover their podcast. I'm down to do a little bit of that, talk about the more interesting things. Obviously not the episode that just aired with Kail. I mean, that just did not keep my attention for very long because that woman, I mean, if you listen to her all week, that's 4 hours of your day on Kailin Lowry. So that's a long day. Her and Tyler are going to be going to Chattanooga to meet up with Macy. They do explain to Nova really quick what their podcast is and what it's about. And she was like, oh, cool.
She's always so excited for them. She's such a great supporter.
She's like, oh, yeah, good for you guys. She's like their parent or something.
I know.
I'm actually really excited to see them starting their own podcast. I think so far I've enjoyed a lot of their episodes. They've spoken quite a bit about their adoption, and I've learned some things actually from their end and some things that we didn't know just off of TV. And, they've also came at a few rumors and conspiracies as well. Yeah, I would be down to go over some of their episodes.
We do like a longer style deep dive, maybe like the podcast thus far and just the things that we've learned. Because I know you and I have been listening. Yeah, maybe instead of doing episode by episode, at least for now.
Yeah, I mean, we could even do them shorter and just do like things that we find interesting in certain episodes. More or less, like so far, the ones where they're just talking amongst themselves are more interesting to me. I mean, they have guests and it's nice to kind of hear, they've had Becky on and Lindsay, Chris. Yeah, like when they talk about the adoption, I think we could definitely do a little something on that episode and whatever is to be continued. They're going over to Macy. They are waiting for pizza, and then obviously they got to do their little drift away. So Taylor takes Tyler outside, and Macy's talking with Catelyn. Macy and Catelyn are talking about how crazy it is that Bentley's driving and he's older and stuff like that. It's got to be a little weird for Catelyn because, she doesn't have Carly. So it must be strange to see what it could look like, honestly, to have Carly in a sense. She's looking at Bentley and she's like, oh, wow, he's so old. He's so much bigger now. And if you think about it, she hasn't probably seen Carly, it sounds like, in at least a year plus. Yeah. So Carly could also be quite tall and big.
Yeah. When she was tall, the last picture we saw of her, she's long and gangly, just like Nova. So.
And Tyler, yeah. Well, I do like the conversation between Tyler and Taylor. It's gonna be a tongue twister for me, but between T and T, what is it that Taylor? Things that matter. They talk about the things that matter.
Yeah, TTM. I still don't understand what that is.
Just the stuff that matters. Whatever matters.
T-shirts matter.
Perception, whatever your perception is on what matters. This is the things that help you remember what matters.
How are you supposed to know that from a t-shirt with a pocket? How did you get
I don't
it?
know. I'm just making all this up.
Oh, okay.
If y'all know, like, let us know.
Oh man,
That's my interpretation.
thank you for that.
Yeah, you never realize though how Southern people are until you see someone with Michigan interacting with them. I mean, damn, like the differences in their dialect was so interesting.
For me, I didn't realize how Michigan we were until I heard Tyler and Cate in Chattanooga. I didn't even hear Macy's accent because I'm used to hearing Macy. You plopped Tyler and Cate into Chattanooga, and I was like, wow, you guys sound like you're from Minnesota or
Canada.
Wisconsin, the UP. That's probably how we sound to everybody, though.
We do in a sense because I've had people ask me before if I'm from Canada and things like that. And I'm like, oh wow, I think I sounded that different.
You know what? And Ty was so excited when they arrived in the car and they were saying something about like, oh, we're down here, we can talk with our accent now. He was like, hey, Bailey. And it's so funny because we always do that, especially when we're covering our Gypsy Rose episodes. It's like me and Ann take on a whole tone of voice.
We just go Southern.
Or like fake Louisiana.
We try to go for the bayou. Most of our recaps is us going in and out of an accent. Yeah, they talk about Ryan, right? Here?
Pretty much. They talk a little bit about, well, yeah, I mean, Ryan. What I thought was funny, they talk a little bit about Bentley's truck, but really that's because this is the look of surprise on Ty's face when he realizes that Ryan actually paid for half of the truck. Yeah. He made this whole big assumption, like we all would have if it wasn't on TV, that, Taylor and Macy paid for the truck, but he was shook.
He was like, oh, wow.
I know.
Look at him. I would have loved to have my dad sober at that age.
Yeah, I thought that was cute. I feel like Ty has always related to Bentley in that way. I think he's even talked to him a couple of times.
I think he has in the past, especially when they were going through that therapy thing when everyone was mad at Macy about that. But I honestly think it would be quite interesting. I don't see it happening, but I think it would be so interesting to have Ryan on his and Caitlin's podcast. Ryan's a man of few words, so I don't see it happening. One of their things is addiction and stuff like that. So I think it would be interesting to hear about Ryan's perspective and what he's gone through on that end, because we don't really hear much from him about it. We just hear about him.
Yeah. So we should leave some comments on their podcast asking for that. I think that's a great idea.
Yeah, I think that would be
great. We haven't had a Being Ryan in a while, so maybe this could help.
Shoot, we never got a Being Devoyne or anything either, and I wanted one of those.
Well, Kail took on the Being Devoyne. She saw Devoyne in her podcast.
And they tried to advocate for it. Nothing happened. But
she even tried to advocate for the use of Devoyne,
which has been getting a little bit better.
She was successful in that one. I think Dr. Drew also did some acknowledgement around that.
But Brianna still refuses, I think, to say it. So yeah, basically, Taylor talks about how Ryan and him have kind of a rocky relationship, and that he's apologized to Macy and he's apologized to Jen and Larry, but he's never gotten his apology. Which I think Ryan might have thought that was one and the same with apologizing to Macy, but I do think he should, or at least a conversation acknowledging Taylor, because he did threaten to end that man's life and everything. I mean,
I know. There had to be a whole restraining order in this situation, because I actually found myself with mixed emotions here at first, and then I did remember after a little while, I'm like, no, Taylor was pretty, I mean, he wasn't friendly by any means, but he was open at least to Ryan being around until Ryan made these threats. And then after that, Ryan continued to be in his addiction in a really, really bad way for years and years. So I think Taylor had a lot of reason to lose his cool once in a while, like at the reunion towards Ryan's parents. And he said things to Ryan and about Ryan that really probably are uncalled for and that really probably don't need to be said out of his mouth. But I'm not holding those words against him, or I'm not mad at him. I just think looking back now, hindsight's always 20/20, and it seems like he's recognizing that the words he said do make it kind of feel awkward now that things are good. So I think it's a good thing just to clear the air, like he says later on. It's not like people have to apologize or somebody was wrong in the situation, but just to sort of explain where they both were at that point in time and acknowledge that time has passed and they feel good about each other. So Ty is going to put his therapist hat on because he's such a good therapist, and he's going to help Taylor figuring this out while he's here.
He must be the producer's favorite. Like, he always asks the best questions. He gets the most worked up about the car thing. He's wow.
I know. His face is just so animated. And they even talked about that. Kail had even commented in the podcast about how animated Ty's face is, and he talked about the blue monkey thing, and he's real interested in life and ways of thoughts and philosophy, and if he can't turn his brain off, he just wants to learn more. So he's a pretty cool guy. I would really like to meet him.
I think you and Tyler could probably talk for hours.
Probably.
about stuff. I think you should go on his podcast.
I could, yeah. We both have parents who have struggled with addiction and ways, and yeah, I think we both like psychology.
You're both basically psychologists.
We're both basically therapists.
Yeah, they're pretty much one and the same in a lot of ways, but
true. Yeah, maybe that's why I want to meet him.
That's why you'd be looking for that van all the time.
I do look for that van all the time with the decal. I actually saw a maroon van with a decal, and it was a window decal on the driver's side, just like theirs. It wasn't the cheetah print. It was some other kind of print.
You're going to have to leave your house more often and drive the streets of Detroit.
Trust me, when I'm driving up and down I-75, I'm just
like, where is it? They got to be doing something. You've been down there quite a few years. I'm surprised that you haven't seen their car somewhere.
Yeah, especially the first 5-6 years I was down here, really pre-COVID. I was driving downtown all the time. I was really all over the place for school and all kinds of stuff. I'm surprised too. I was working at Red Lobster. They could have been there.
Exactly. You really aren't far from them.
I know.
This thing you chick chatters don't know, she's really close. The adoption agency's up the road.
I used to live in walking distance from that adoption agency. And the fact that I had no idea until I moved away from that place that I lived that close. You know me, and you would have just taken the dog for a walk, at least to peep it.
Yeah, we kind of would have walked in and pretended we was looking for a
couple, and we'd like a baby.
We're just trying to have a baby. Anyways, they are now going to do the little meetup with everybody. Macy be looking pretty goth here.
I thought they had her looking really like high fashion. I'm not a expert on that, but her cheekbones were high.
I don't know if it's a lip liner, but she'd be looking like 90s, almost vintagey, gothy.
Her hair was a little different than I'm used to. I liked the poofies, but I don't know. It wasn't my favorite, but Macy's gorgeous.
We get to see them film podcast after podcast after podcast. And they had this one creator on there. I don't remember his name. I don't know if you have it. He apparently makes content.
His name was Jordy.
Okay, so he makes content more on like the, I wouldn't say negative side, but he does seem to call out a lot of things on Teen Mom. I've honestly never heard of this guy before. And I'm pretty deep in the Teen Mom blogosphere. But I'm not on TikTok a ton. Maybe he's mainly
on TikTok. I'm not on TikTok either. That is what they say, that he's a TikTok content creator.
We follow things like Grace Report, LB. They're very popular on that spectrum. I mean, there's a ton of different content creators, but yeah, I've just not really heard of him. But even Kail's had this guy on the podcast before. Which
it seems like he's more of a controversial kind of content creator. Like he says things that aren't, maybe kind. I know, at least for me, if I'm watching the show since I was 16, so for the last 15 years plus, I do generally have a liking for most of the people on this show. And I know that's not how everybody watches TV, but that's how I feel. And I've learned enough about them that I feel like I care for them a little bit personally. So I'm just not the kind of person who would be so direct. I think it's good that he's coming on there and that they can have this conversation. It was kind of disappointing, and maybe it will be different in the actual podcast, but it doesn't seem like they really got their opposing views out as much. Not that they necessarily needed to argue, but at least the way it was shown on here, it was like Cate and Ty said, oh, Brandon and Teresa did this. And he's like, oh, well, that changes everything. I think you guys are doing a great job. And I just thought it was so like, okay, if you're out here arguing or saying some kind of controversial, and it seemed like he was arguing that they shouldn't be talking about Carly online. He didn't really say much about it in person. And I know that people will be nicer to you in person than they are behind their little keyboards.
That's what I was going to say.
This was a little too nice for me. At least come and say what you were going to say and then be like, oh, okay, I understand now. And maybe that's there. I do want to listen to it later.
Well, other than blending in with the couch, I think he was there to just... to just kind of talk to them. I don't think he came in there to argue with them. I think like it's different when you're in front of the person than it is when you're back here. Right. Like even for us, we talk a lot of crap about Amber, although there's a lot of things I'd still say to that girl's face. But if she was in front of me, I don't think I'd be able to.
Things. I guess that's what I just want them to come on and have. I don't want them to come on and have arguments, right? Nobody really wants to listen to that. We want to listen to adults have discussions. Even when they said, oh, you have these opinions about what we think about Carly, at least in the edit and what we saw, which was baby size, he referred back to, oh, well, in my comments, it's this. No, what do you think? Because you and your little face are on this TikTok moving around saying they shouldn't be doing this. This is a bad idea. So I just
didn't like child.
Yeah, I just didn't like he just deferred to them so much, at least in this. So yeah, I don't want them to argue, but come on and say a lot of people, he said 50% of his comments disagree with what they're doing. So give a voice to that in a respectful way. I hope he did that before just saying all this tea made him change his mind.
other than just them being there and actually being in front of him, like the subject of the matter, I think it's also just Teen Mom's edit. They chopped it up so much that we didn't even know what he was answering to half the time. Like there was a point where they said something and then the way he responded, it almost didn't seem like it lined up with what they were saying. I can't wait for this episode to drop. And I think when it does, maybe we will talk about it because
I wish they would have dropped this week other than Kail's, because this is the one I would have been like, ooh, I need to go watch that right now. I cannot get over how much he matches his couch after you said that. It's just wild.
He's literally blending in with the
and couch. This thing.
Yeah.
Is that his top hat?
No, it's like a mat.
Yeah,
like
for a dish or something. Yeah.
Yeah. Top hat. Yeah, he wore that.
On his little head.
Yeah, but his shirt matches with the pillow next to him, and then so. But he considers himself, yes, a Teen Mom historian, which I think a lot of us do.
I didn't know that was a thing, but I'm gonna join that club.
I mean, a lot of us, especially that have been watching since day one, and I've seen people in our comments before say like, "Oh, you must be young," and blah blah blah, and it's like, well, we're in our 30s, but thank you. We've been watching this since it came out. We're the same age as these people, especially the Teen Mom 2 people. Like Catelyn and Tyler might be like a year older than us, but I was like 15 when this came out, so I've been watching it since then. Yeah, it seems like the podcasting went well, and and Catelyn was the most worried about dealing with that guy.
I just had to add this photo because I kind of miss her resting bitch face. We haven't seen this face like this on our screens in a couple of years, so I just had to shout out to it. The frowny face. The most disinterested. And she looks good. She looks better than last time we saw her. She looks healthy.
Oh my gosh, this photo. She talks to Macy a little bit about the kids and the difference in parenting styles between her and all her baby daddies and Macy. And I thought it was hilarious when she told Macy she has 7 kids and that she got her tubes taken out. And I think Macy said something like, "Oh, good. Thank God."
Thank God.
Thank God.
In the most genuine way.
Genuinely thankful to God for Catelyn to stop reproducing with all these different men. We don't get much out of Catelyn. Obviously, like we talked about her little cheating scandal last time. She hasn't even addressed that yet. So, and I'm kind of more worried that she hasn't addressed it yet. I feel like she might be dealing with some stuff behind the scenes.
Remember what I said when we talked about it? If she comes out and says, "Oh, I heard about this," or blah, 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 or there's more to the story, then it's okay. But if she's not going to talk about it, she was completely caught off guard by this. If she's not talking about it, she's processing it.
And I do feel bad that she was on her birthday vacation to find out about it. I think this girl could have at least waited a few days.
I don't know if she realized. I know she said that she had watched Teen Mom, but I don't know if she really knows when her birthday is.
Probably not, but wait till the girl's off vacation. You saw her just post a vacation video. Let the inbox whatever you did wait a couple days. Like it seemed like you jumped the gun.
What I said. Yeah, she was in a hurry.
Yeah, she was really in a hurry. Shoot, I'm surprised she didn't just sell the damn story to the Ashley or just give it to her. Might as well just did it that way.
If that was her motive, I truly agree that she would have gotten further that way and more money. Because she just got a little pop off real quick of who is this girl.
Although I don't think the Ashley would pay her anything, but she would at least know that the information got to Kail through the Ashley.
I think the information got to Kail. They also talk a little bit about co-parenting and their various babies' fathers, particularly the difficult ones, which right now for Kail is Joey and Javi. And although in this present time, her and Javi seem to be on good terms, but I don't know how they were during this time.
Her and Javier just copacetic. Javier is moving, so I think she's happy about that. And at this point, I don't even know why I even custody battle somebody when you got that many damn kids. Like, just let the man have his kid.
Right.
For a good chunk of the time.
Podcast announcement of him moving, that made me so. I was texting you about it. I was so triggered by that.
So weirdly overly emotional, which I know moving away from your son would be emotional, but I don't know, just his little statement. I thought someone passed.
Me too. I thought that they were about to make an announcement that they were getting back together. That's how serious and just it felt so heavy. We have chosen to leave our partners and remarry. That's what I thought it was going to end.
Check your local aquarium.
Honestly. Hopefully she won't be pregnant again during this one.
Well, her tubes is gone, she said. Completely gone.
I don't know if that's going to stop her from inseminating herself or something, okay?
I've heard of stranger things. I was kind of hoping like maybe we'll get a little bit more Kayla on the show. I think she misses it.
She looked like she was having a good time.
She misses it. Yeah. I know there was a little while there where she considered coming back on the show or shopping for her own show on MTV. that's her real thing, is she just wants her own show. And it's like, girl, you got 4 podcasts at this point. I don't need you to have your own show, but I'd like to see you on TV a little bit. That'd be interesting.
Possibly she has thought differently in the last couple of years. I mean, I'm not in her head, but you're right. She has 4 podcasts now, which she has a lot of control over as far as what she talks about. I know the one with Becky. Becky's just kind of along for the ride, and then she has the one that she hosts by herself. So she can definitely control the narrative if needed, where I know before she didn't feel like she really could, and it was edited up and whatever. So I feel like this is almost better for her if she were to join the cast here, because you really only get 5 minutes, 6 minutes if you're in an episode. It's not as big of a commitment as it used to be that everybody has to film all the time. So I wouldn't mind following her and her 7 children.
Honestly.
Let's replace her with Amber. Can we get I mean, Gary still has to be on it, but
if he wants. I wouldn't even be upset.
I know your team, just let them have their piece. But
I'm on the fence. If they want it, then I'm fine with it. But I also think that Leah could use some healing as well, and I'm not sure how much healing can happen when you're on the show. I mean, they kind of keep you in that same thought as well.
I agree. Yeah, though we're gonna see too later on with that is the filming and the present and the whatever. It's just there's always a Amber lurking around, even if
an Amber alert.
An Amber alert. Yes. So Macy can't really relate anymore with Kail when it comes to arguing a lot with baby daddies. I don't think even at all, because she never co-parented with Ryan when Ryan was really bad. I know that she was frustrated with him and angry with him, but as far as having to rely on him to whatever, Ryan just was never ever in that role. It was always his parents. So Cate and Ty enter the chat, and they have some bitching to do about Teresa. She kind of rehashed a little bit of the meeting with Dawn and told Kail about everything that was going on, but I didn't realize that they sort of wanted all of this not in the media. I guess that makes sense. That's always been their position. They don't want to be talked about or acknowledged at all. But I sort of like Ty said, you can't take my story away from me. He does have a public platform. It's very complicated that this is how it's playing out, but he's entitled to talk about his experience, I think.
Yeah, she said that she blocked him for her mental health and no more presence, no more stalking them, but just please don't tell anybody.
Yes.
Like, what? I mean, to each their own. I mean, yeah, block them, close the adoption if that's truly how you feel. It sounds like from what they said on the show, actually, that it did switch to an actual legal open adoption. So I don't stand how they can completely close it 100%. We'll have to get into a little bit what they said in their podcast, because they do kind of explain why they feel the way that they do better. We only have what we saw on Teen Mom, which was that weird printed up Word document that everybody zooms in on, is what Tyler says. But where they have the visits till 5, but technically they still were supposed to be able to get updates and stuff all throughout. I don't really know how this works, but I don't think adoption stuff isn't really enforced. I mean, what do you do? Take these people to court to get photos once a year?
If I'm remembering right, and maybe they corrected this or something, but I don't think adoptions are legal documents. I think they're like civil agreements. So they don't actually get enforced.
It went from whatever agreement that they wrote up to the court. So this way it could be
legal. The court has to be involved for legal custody to be transferred. But as far as the adoption agreement of like, we agree to give you photos, we agree to meet with you, that is a separate thing that I don't think is a legal matter. Once you sign over custody to somebody, you're not involved. Legally, you have no rights. And that's what they're facing up against, is they have no rights. They just have these agreements that aren't legally binding. That's what the really annoying thing is about adoption. And I think that's what they want people to know, is you're legally giving up your rights, and then on the side you're making this agreement in writing, hoping in good faith people will follow through with it. You can't take them to court and say they're not doing this. It's not like a legal paper. I don't know, but yeah. But I think that that's really the case that they're trying to share. People can say one thing and do another once custody is signed over. It's going to be a long road, even if you did take all that adoption stuff that's technically not legal and try to have a lawsuit of some kind.
On their podcast, they did have an episode where they talked about the adoption, and when they talked about Butch and April showing up to the courtroom and how people were like, you should have listened to your parents, and they're like, our parents were on crack. What do you mean?
They were on crack. Not only that, they were showing up to a courtroom and acting like a bunch of buffoons. What kind of grown, mature adults show up in front of a judge and act like a bunch of idiots? Unless you're on
Butch's ponytail and ripped jeans.
These are the people you're telling them that they should have listened to. It's a wonder that the two of them have even made it as far as they have in life and are as healthy as they are. It's just insane.
Yeah, especially Cate, because Tyler's mom seems like she's got herself a little bit more together. I mean, I know
Mm-hmm.
she was a single mom struggling, trying to make ends meet, probably working a lot, things like that. But
Mm-hmm.
Catelyn, I don't think her dad was really around, and then
Yeah.
April. So
Yeah, April was just shmusive in like all the ways except for actually, from what I understand. I think it is a good idea that we do a little podcast episode sometime soon. But Cate said in her podcast that she didn't even really have a whole lot of mental health issues until
no,
postpartum.
those were hard seasons for them. They do talk about like the heifer stuff and the comments and everything, because she was trying to lose weight for a wedding. And, you know, I never even really was that mad at him about that kind of stuff, because whenever I'm trying to lose weight, I ask Dean to remind me sometimes, like, hey, tell me to do this or do that or whatever. So if you have like a partner that you feel comfortable with, that's just kind of how it is. And it seems like on TV probably did ask them more leading questions. And every time they sat down to eat, it seemed like they asked, "So how's the weight loss going?"
That was going on like an entire season. That was Cate's only storyline, and it was boring for us to watch. The only spiciness they could have given us was some side remark that Ty didn't even mean towards her about being a heifer. That's the only thing that was even entertaining that season.
I don't even think he called her, like, even at the time when I watched it, I didn't assume he called her a heifer. I think he was saying, I don't want a heifer for a wife.
Right.
A wife.
I think speaking of eating,
yeah,
they go back to the restaurant after it had to be 8 hours of filming minimum.
at least.
So they go to a restaurant to meet Macy and Taylor afterwards and wrap up their chatty trip. Have you ever heard Chattanooga called chatty? I'm not a big traveler.
I've never been. Don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Just first I'm hearing it.
I know that cities have little nicknames, but I've never heard of chatty.
Well, Ryan's in the wrong city. He ain't chatty at all. We get another one of these scenes. They talk about Ryan and the ways that Taylor could approach Ryan without necessarily apologizing, because as Tyler says, I don't think he did a motherfucking thing wrong.
I don't think you got shit to apologize for.
You could just say, I wish I would have approached it better. And the way that Tyler said stuff, Taylor was like, oh, that sounds great.
Yeah, he was really excited.
With his things that matter, sure.
Wow, I didn't even realize. So they got rid of the pockets.
I mean, they got all types of styles. This
looks like a jersey style type of fabric.
At dinner, they were like, so you leaving? And I'm like, aren't you guys eating? Are you guys picking them out or what?
Right. Yeah. I know. Usually you announce when you're leaving, not like, okay, bye. But yeah, I noticed that too. I thought that was really weird. They left. They were leaving. We kind of follow Macy into a baby shower for Rhine.
Yeah, they pretty much set this all up so this way we could see the continuation of Taylor approaching Ryan to have a conversation later on the next episode.
Just a setup for the next setup.
Setup.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. So they got the kiddos in the car and they're talking about baby showers. And they're like, is this when the baby gets showered or what?
The baby takes a shower, yeah. They told Maverick that he didn't get a baby shower, and Taylor says, that's why you're stinky, because you didn't get a shower.
I thought it would have been so funny if Jade was never told what a baby shower was on the way there, and she was expecting to see a baby in the tub.
Taking a shower.
It's like, where's the shower?
So it seems like they arrived pretty late in the baby shower because everybody's drunk. The house is full. There's a lot going on.
I think Bentley was already there, and it's your ex just
Bentley was there.
Baby shower. So
yep, I think they had a tournament for
both of them actually. They both had a wrestling tournament. Yeah, they both looked sweaty back there. I didn't even realize how rough Macy looked till she showed up to the shower. I was like, girl.
She's showing up to a baby shower where people get all cute, but she just had a whole day of wrestling matches. So it makes sense. She was looking rough, and Larry was drunk, and I think Ryan was a little bit drunk, to be honest, not judging him, but he just seemed a little bit drunk to me.
She seemed there and happy and involved.
He was there and happy and involved.
You can tell the difference with Ryan, with Amanda. It's really crazy. But and we also learned that Amanda and Macy be going shopping together, and Macy be like, I got it for you.
Oh, she's buying things for Ryan's baby.
Look at her. Look at the full circle here. Taylor does ask Ryan to go golfing with him the next day so they can chat, and Ryan seems fine with it. So they're going to go hit the clubs and do some apologizing.
And the Club Wheel fame. Then behind the scenes, Macy and Amanda give themselves a little high five because it seems like they have been conjuring this up. Here I thought that it was Tyler's idea after they had this conversation in the backyard, but no, it was all Macy's idea in the beginning.
Did you hear they're going to hang out finally?
I know. They're going to go golfing tomorrow.
They're going to go golfing tomorrow. Do you want to go shopping? We'll get you some more stuff.
That's probably when that happened in real life.
So yeah, that's kind of where we leave off all of that. To be continued with the Ryan and Taylor saga. We're going to move on to
Gary.
I guess we do start with Gary.
It doesn't matter. It's a Gary scene. Started naming him Gary.
Which, you know what? Even though Amber's always like, I'm the reason you have a gerb, blah, blah, blah. Honestly, you wouldn't have got pregnant without this man. So
and Gary and Christina were not filming with their daughter that they're also raising. Amber's story would not be followed anymore anyways. Amber has no children. And not only does Amber have no children, she doesn't have contact with her children.
Or with MTV.
And then when she doesn't have contact with her children, she don't want to film because she's depressed. So we could not have had this go on for this long without Gary, Christina, and Leah actually participating. There's no way Amber would have continued to rake in these paychecks by being involved if these people weren't giving us a show to watch.
Even if you go off her logic of, well, I started this show, blah, blah, blah. You couldn't have started it without being pregnant by this man. 2 people make a baby. I mean, you didn't just show up already pregnant and was like, oh, I choose you to be the baby daddy. Now let's go on Teen Mom. You didn't do that.
Very true.
And it's Teen Mom that started the show. Like we said in a previous recap, it was based off of Juno and that idea. So it was going to go on with or without Amber. Macy would have been the first one or whoever at that point. Speaking of the 16 and pregnant, we got someone turning 16. We got Leah finally turning 16. And we just saw her 15th birthday last season. So that just shows you how often Amber is coming around, because according to Leah, Amber's only seen her like 3 or 4 times since then.
There was a time to tell her she was engaged, which was really about her. And then there was the filming thing where it seems like the whole thing was produced, where Cate and Macy came over and blah, 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 and had this whole barbecue outside at Gary's house. So there's only one other time other than that was private.
And then the birthday, it seemed like that was also about Amber, so she could tell Leah that she had a boyfriend. Like, just keep all this news to yourself at this point.
For some reason, though, Leah wants to return to the scene of the crime and have a do-over without her sister there. So her older sister.
That's where they decide to go.
RuPaul made his appearance.
Oh, another RuPaul. Yeah.
Yes.
I would love it for Leah if one day, you might have to put a muzzle on Amber, you might have to like duct tape her mouth shut, but I think it would just be good for her to one day just get all those feelings out about her. Just so this way it's out there straight to her face. Because so far, Amber has not heard anything directly from Leah. But Amber would also have to hear that, which we all know how bad Amber is with hearing stuff. Because, I mean, in this next scene with her brother literally calls and says, I'm being in Indiana for a couple days. Oh, how long are you going to be here? A couple of days. Like, she don't listen and nothing penetrates her brain.
I know. She's really in her own head and her own thoughts.
But even with that, my sister is very much to me like Amber in a lot of ways, where if it's not about her, then she ain't really paying attention. I have a host of issues with my sister, but there was a point where I was able to like, me and her got into an argument and I just like let it all out. And even though I don't feel like anything much came of that, it just made me feel better to actually say it to her face, the issues that I had with her. And I do think she definitely internalized some of it. Like she knows what I said, because one of my issues with my sister is, and you Brooke can attest to this, is that whenever I would go out with her, it was more like she would want to go out with me just to go out and say she's going out with somebody. Really, she'd leave me for a dude within the first 10 minutes or 20 minutes. She'd be like off with some dude leaving me. She constantly would ditch me for men, constantly. And even at my wedding, she made points to tell me like, hey, I'm not going to be leaving you. You know, I know you got a problem with that. And I'm like, bitch, what? Like,
and then as soon as he went to bed, she was calling a man, can you come get me?
She's trying. She was trying. So even though in the moment when I was telling her all these things, she wasn't reciprocating anything, it wasn't the most productive conversation. At least me getting all of that out felt good to me, to just get it off and get it out there. Whatever she does with that information, she can do whatever way she's got to live with herself. But for me, holding all those feelings in for 10, 15, 20, 30 years, enough was enough. And I was just like, you know what, these are my problems with you. And I think that would maybe be good for Leah just to get it out in that way, even if it's not a productive conversation. Although I do think it'll be a few years down the line for Leah.
I get what you're saying. I think that's part of why she's going to therapy, is to find a constructive and productive way to be able to talk to her mom, because it's a little bit different with your siblings. You can walk away more easily, I think, from a sibling relationship than a parent-child relationship. Not that you can't walk away from your parent-child relationship. You definitely should if it's toxic. But I think that just means a lot more things, right? You only have one parent. Not that you don't only have one sister yourself, but you have a lot of really close friends yourself, and you can kind of make relationships in that way, but your parent is your one sole mother. So I can see how she would want it to be constructive and productive if they do ever have that conversation. And I think right now she's just not interested. Like,
no, I think she needs some time.
Yeah, there is no reason for her to have to interact with her mom. Instead of forcing it and having Leah blow up on Amber because she rightfully would be angry with her for all of this, let's just chill out. It's kind of the same thing that Dawn was trying to say to Cate of, you know what we haven't done is take a deep breath and give everybody a break for a while. And nobody needs to put a timeline on it. Just let's chill out.
I'm just saying it might be good for her in a few years when it's the right time for her to actually let that out, because when you hold on to that stuff for so long, eventually it will come out.
But if you go to therapy and you do it in a healthy way, you can have it come out in a way that can be well received too.
Possible with Amber, possible.
You cannot control how other people receive it,
Yeah.
but when you look at yourself in the mirror and you say, I communicated as effectively as I could, that's what feels good in the end. If Amber does whatever she wants, Leah will feel better than turning around and saying, I just lashed out on my mom 15 years of a whole bunch of emotions that I've held in.
Oh.
She's not going to feel good about herself after that, regardless of how Amber responds. So you want to always communicate with people the way that you're going to look in the mirror and feel good about, because you can't control Amber. Her being nice to Amber is not for Amber. That's for Leah to feel good about how she can communicate with someone.
Over to Bubby, who Leah actually did communicate with Bubby. She sent him a little Veterans Day text. But,
and this is the face we got. She was pissed.
She's like, I'm happy.
She was like, not happy.
You're not happy.
She was pissed.
You're mad that Bubby got a text and you are not getting a text back. But
what do you expect from Leah? Leah has made it known a plethora of times that she does not want to reach out. And it's almost like Amber could not even fathom that Leah is capable and wants to reach out to people in her family, but is choosing actively not to reach out to Amber.
Bubby had some good advice for her. You know, she's in a good place right now. Just give it some time. She's got a couple years till she's an adult. Don't go around blaming people, which that advice lasted her about a couple months on that. But yeah, don't be going around blaming people. And obviously she loves Gary. Gary's a good father. I think what he meant along the lines of was don't be attacking her family that she has, because that's all she has. When you go online taking shots at Gary and Christina and stuff like that, that's just going to drive that wedge further and further down with Leah.
Yeah.
Now you're attacking the people she loves the most.
Yeah.
And
I think he was trying to give her some reassurance as well that she is and has been well taken care of. Yes, you want to be in her life, but it's not detrimental at this point that you're not in her life. In fact, she's choosing for you not to be in her life. So she is okay. Don't mess it all up in your head that she needs you, because she doesn't.
Yeah, and just give it time. I guess I'm curious on what would be the best thing for Amber to do, other than maybe try to reach out every now and then and just let her know that she's thinking of her. Like, I don't know what she would even.
This is where I felt so icky, because I was starting to feel some empathy for Amber in this episode, because it is such a hard thing when your child cuts off a relationship with you. And usually that's not a decision that's made lightly. So a lot has probably happened in the past that makes somebody do that. So there's really no right or wrong way to go about it. I think first and foremost, you should respect the wishes of anybody who's putting a boundary up at any time, whether it's your child or your sister or your friend or whoever. I think she should respect her boundaries as far as sending gifts, sending text messages, whatever. That's where it really becomes hard, because in some way, Leah could hold it against Amber if she never reaches out and rigidly respects her wishes. And in another way, she's crossing boundaries and going against her wishes when she does reach out. I think a slow drip is a good thing, like a constant reminder, hey, I'm here for you, but not constant, like daily or weekly, maybe monthly. I think it was good she sent her a birthday present, even though it made her cry. I think it would have been a bad thing looking back for both of them to say, I didn't get a gift or give a gift to my kid on their birthday when I had every reason and right to do.
But you're right, but in the same breath, Leah's like, well, the gifts don't matter. You weren't here. So it's like a weird line of what do you do? Because we all give Amber a lot of shit at this point for not being a good mom, years and years of it. But also, what do we recommend her to do in this situation?
There's nothing she can do now. And even this last year that Leah's referring to, and this is not against Leah, but most of this last year, Leah has asked Amber to stay away. So that's part of Will Snoop.
That's Django.
Part of the reason that Amber hasn't seen Leah is because Leah has also been asking not to see Amber as much. So yeah, I don't know what the ideal situation is to do in this. I know
he likes the little itch between the eyes.
There's no right or wrong way to go about this, but first and foremost, you should always respect people's boundaries and wishes. When it comes to Amber with Leah, I think it's appropriate for her to give some intermittent reminders that she's not angry with her for making this choice. She's waiting. She's ready to talk whenever, whether that's through text or carrier pigeon or gift once a year or whatever. I don't think it's a good thing to completely fall off the face of the earth either. So I don't know. That's just my opinion.
I think it's a sticky situation, but I think it's just something I guess Leah's going to have to keep moving more and more towards. I think if Amber at least lets her know that she is open to a relationship and that she is there, that she's a mother, who cares? That eventually maybe they can build some kind of relationship, but it won't be exactly what she has with Christina at this point. I think too much damage is done at too young of an age in that way.
That's kind of what I mean too about this communicating but not communicating. There's plenty for Leah to be angry with Amber about. At the end of the day, it's probably not going to be that you sent me a gift I didn't want or you reached out once a month. So I think to err on the side of caution is probably better for her to send a message once in a while, especially once she turns 18. There's no need for her to have the same type of relationship as she would have with Christina. She still has things to learn, of course, from a parent, but not in the same way when you're a child and you're dependent on them for all your attachment needs. Leah's going to have a little boyfriend here probably pretty soon.
I mean, I think she kind of already does. I know she had a date to homecoming. I just don't know if it was a friend or not. But anyway, so moving on to Leah's little card situation here. This was so dramatic. They had her write this and then narrate it as Leah was reading it. And I was like, is this Amber speaking?
It was Amber speaking.
I think what she wrote was perfectly fine, honestly.
I think that was great.
I expected a lot worse, especially after the hostage situation.
I know. Well, and I was actually impressed to see that she didn't start her writing at the top of the other page of the card that's blank and write her a whole book. Short and sweet and to the point. I am your mom. There's no deeper love. I hope you have a good birthday and, you know, I'm here. Just a simple message, a birthday gift, whatever. I don't think at the end of the day, this is what Leah's going to hold against Amber. She's probably fine.
It's emotional for her, but I think that she actually liked getting the acknowledgement from Amber, even though obviously gifts can only go so far with kids. I mean, they do appreciate your time more than anything. Like she said, it threw her off, but I think in the long run, it made her happy that her mom at least did something for her instead of call her a dickhead on her birthday and show up late to her birthday dinner. I think that this was much more appropriate for what is going on between their relationship. And the gifts were not over the top. She got her a couple of small things. The rose was pretty. I mean, it was
really nice.
I honestly like the glass rose because what Amber keeps saying is she will wait forever for Leah. And I think that kind of almost symbolizes that with a rose that's not going to die. So I
thought it was symbolic too. And I thought it was really nice. That's probably why she is emotional opening that stuff and reading it, because it's hard. She's making a decision that was not made lightly to try to process what's gone on with her mom and take some time away from her. And she's recognizing that she's so mad at her mom. She doesn't want to be with her mom. So instead of having this terrible relationship that's back and forth, she's, you know, stopped the bleeding, gone to therapy. She's making all these really mature decisions. And sometimes emotions just hit you in the face. This is her mom. She does need her mom and want her mom.
At the end of the day, regardless of the divide between them, Amber is still her mom. And I think that that's always going to be a connection that she wants. Just like, I mean, I relate Amber to my sister a lot because they're just so similar to me.
They have a similar personality, kind of.
They are very similar. My sister wasn't addicted to drugs or anything like that, but she's very similar in a more selfish things that got to be about me. But even with that, I don't, like you said, I have all these friends and stuff like that. But at the same time, no one can actually replace my sister, even though we don't have a good relationship. It's a different thing, and it's always something that's going to kind of haunt you in a way. So
totally. And I shouldn't have said it that way. It was more so, I guess, if we're putting a hierarchy of relationships, parents are usually above the siblings, but you're right, you can't replace your sibling with other people.
That's kind of how I feel like with Leah, even with Christine. I mean, Christina is doing an amazing job with her, but like she said earlier, she's going to keep having these issues of abandonment because her mom inflicted that on her.
Right.
I have certain issues with things because my sister inflicted it on me. And it's, to me, it's kind of like tomato. I just feel like when you kind of have a family member that you feel like you want to be close with, instinctually, you want to be close with that person. You have that longing for so many years. And then when you finally give up on it and you're just like, whatever, it does take a lot to make that decision. And it does take a lot to move on from that. And then you do have these moments of like,
grief.
I just wish that they were, grief. And I just wish they were a different person, or I wish they were different towards me or whatever. The only thing you can control, like you said, is yourself and how you cope with things and how you deal with things. And I think, like you said, Leah is making a lot of mature decisions right now to help her at a young age to develop these skills that'll help her later in life when she does decide to either reach out to Amber for just a talk or whatever. Or even just as acceptance, like, this is who my mom is. I can't change her. So I can at least maybe go to dinner with her twice a year and things will be fine. But
I feel like Leah and Amber will always have a Jade and Big Gulp Christie-esque relationship. I think there's always going to be a power struggle there. But I do think acceptance is a good word. I think that would be the best case scenario for their future, is to just have a an ability to coexist, a mutual respect for each other, and I think that could be a beautiful thing. We have a birthday girl.
We have a birthday girl with a wedding cake.
I know. A wedding cake and a wedding ring.
She got married.
She got married to Christina.
Christina said her vows to Leah, presented her with a ring and a wedding cake.
Yes, from heavy to light.
To a celebration of
unity.
Parental-child marriage.
We are here today to join the Christina with the Leah in holy parental relationships.
Let there be cake. Even Dingus is happy.
Yes.
Aren't you, buddy?
So next time, we finally get that golf trip. So we're gonna see how the golf goes for us. Our girl from the ultimatum is making an appearance.
Yeah, and they're wearing some weird schlong thing.
I think they're doing one of those yoni cleanses or whatever that Kourtney Kardashian does.
Oh, okay.
The kitty
Very
cleanser. Yeah. Ashley's gonna have a moment. She's gonna look right at the camera and say something to us. Devon and Brie are going to talk in person. I couldn't figure out where they were. It looked like a parking garage at the time. So I don't know if one person flew to another. Obviously, some flying in happened from somewhere. Mm-hmm. I don't know if this is supposed to be their last conversation or if Devoin is trying to figure out what's going on with Nova, because there was a voiceover of Devoin saying he keeps calling Nova and she's not responding. And Brie is feeling in the middle a little bit as far as what to do, it seems. So I'm really curious to see how that conversation goes. And then Mackenzie and Kaz are going to take a pregnancy test. They looked a little excited when they looked at it, so I'm still going to remain hopeful for them. But they just be dangling this. I honestly have a feeling, and I think it's just because I always expect the worst, but I have a feeling we're going to follow Mackenzie and Kaz's whole storyline this whole next episode, and we're still not going to see. We're only going to see that scene at the very end because they like to torture me.
Yeah, I think there's like 6 more episodes after this. Am I wrong? I think there were 16.
I have no idea how many are in this season. I hope so, because Sister Wives is going to come back soon. For all of our Sister Wives watchers, it comes back on August 20th.
And we have Gypsy right now, too.
And we're also covering Gypsy Rose, if you'd like to check out those videos. So as of right now, Anne and I film on one single day a week, and we are not like Cate and Ty, where we can film for 8 hours at a time.
Although we will also touch on their podcast a little bit here and there.
We will.
So.
Yeah, maybe if we have like a little recap corner at the end, or we'll have a little snip off video or something, or we'll just integrate them sort of like we have been. But I'd like to kind of go more into how we both feel about it and all that.
All right, well, we'll leave you with that, Chick Chat. Keep in touch.
Yes, keep in touch.
More than Amber does. Keep in touch.
Please, more than 3 times a year. Keep in touch. Keep in touch in the comments. Like our videos. That helps us to keep in touch with the world. Also, if you click the share button, you copy our link. That helps us to get also in touch with the world.
Yeah, if you think my little alligator here is cute, give us a like, a subscribe, a share, a follow.
Drop an alligator emoji in the comments for Django.
Reduce, reuse, recycle, Rihanna, and goodbye.
Bye-bye.